Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Roots Report on the Poulter's Talk Sports Podcast. I am Daniel Poulter, beat reporter for the Oakland Roots, as well as the San Jose Earthquakes, as well as Cal football. Have an episode on that later this week, but make sure, if you enjoy this content, make sure to subscribe. We just hit 100 subscribers. Really proud of that, and we keep going up from here, so make sure like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. But let's talk about the Oakland Roots. The first thing on the docket, it's a wet and rainy day here in the Bay Area, but the Roots got a point. Roots got a point. Roots got a point. Oh. The Oakland Roots this past Saturday pulled off a 1-1 draw against defending Western Conference champions, FC Tulsa, though I will discuss why that is not as impressive as it actually sounds, because I do not think Tulsa is going to be that okay this season unless they make some changes. We'll talk about it. But the Oakland Roots pull up once again, the Roots continue to not be in normal games this season. As the Oakland Roots scored in the 3rd minute of this game, Wolfgang Prentice, a Wolfgang supernova. He is now on 4 shots on goal, scored 4 goals. He is now leading the team by 3 goals, and we'll get to that. It's very worrying. But Wolfgang has been on an absolute heater. To be fair, last season he started on an absolute heater, so it'll be intriguing. We even talked to Wolfgang after the game on this Saturday, and he wants to find ways to make sure this keeps up. This is consistent, that this is the new normal for Wolfgang, instead of last season where we saw at the beginning of the season, he was super red hot and then did nothing the rest of the entire season. He was absolutely golden. But Wolfgang absolutely crushing it. He's by far their best attacker right now. He did a beautiful... speaking on the system, that Michael Edwards, who is my player of the game, we'll discuss why, but he absolutely launches a ball from deep in Oakland Roots' third, instantly lands it to the feet, roughly, of Wolfgang on running. He's able to head it right over the goalkeeper. Perfect assist. We also talked to Coach Ryan Martin, and one of the reasons they were brought in Michael Edwards from the Colorado Rapids MLS team, he was buried on their bench, he was loaned out last season, was that his tape, he's really good at finding opening windows. He's really good at pushing the attack from the back, especially when it comes to deep level crosses, deep level push, forward, lofts forward. You could say that about a lot of players. David Garcia, Di Vicente, Fisher, and Tingy, and Edwards are all known. All these players that they brought in this season are known to be able to be offensive from the back and do what Ryan Martin wants to do in this system. And I am encouraged. This is a good team. Now, will the circumstances of the season mean that they end in like 7th place? That's another question. But this game had a lot of ups and downs, and we'll go over the last few games that the Oakland Roots have had, where you could argue this game should have been a win. Circumstances made it so that it was really hard for this game to be a win. Same thing that happened at the Phoenix game. Same thing that happened against Tampa Bay Rowdies, though Tampa Bay Rowdies is a little bit of an exception. They are, in my opinion, a top 2 team in the East. Them and Louisville City are my top 2 teams in the East, with Detroit, weirdly, and Charleston Battery right behind them. But I think that going to Tampa, getting points, that is absolute win. I had a gut feeling that this Tulsa game was going to be an absolute slog. I talked in the Roots Pod Discord about this before the game. I knew that Tulsa had given up a lot of points on the road, but they're a team that traditionally, and in the playoffs last season, were built on their defense. So I knew that they were going to at least be stubborn. And they gave up the early goal, and that's when then this is where the wheels kind of fell off. Not because of the Roots play. Let me be clear. Let me be stressful. Let me clear it. Let me see if I can bring up our lovely little page here. Down here, this is where everything starts going wrong. You see the spoilers down there. In the 13th minute, Julian Bravo comes up lame in the attacking third around the corner on I think that's the south side of the stadium. And he tried to play through it, and it looked like he either pulled a groin or maybe like a hamstring strain. We're not fully sure, but he quickly had to be subbed out. He could not get off the field, and they had to bring in Naveal Hackshaw. And I know Hackshaw, especially after today, is going to be very divisive. I've already seen people want to just cut him. I don't think they have the luxury of doing that, but let's talk about it. Hackshaw immediately in the 27th minute gets a yellow card. I was fine with it. It was a hard tackle, but it was one of those yellows you kind of take to avoid more opportunities. And from what this game told us, even though, let me scroll back up, Tulsa had 20 shots, 8 shots on target. We'll get to Raphael Spiegel. They suck at scoring. This Tulsa may be one of the worst finishing teams in the league this season. Their defense was good. Their goalkeeping outside of the one oopsie was pretty okay for Tulsa. This is the defending Western Conference champions who did not lose that much. They did lose their key striker, which they have not replaced. They cannot finish. It was Oakland, a man down. We'll get to it. Absolutely. I had a gut feeling. I thought this game was going to be like 2-1 Tulsa. And through a lot of that second half, they got one. And you have to give a lot of credit to the defense of the Oakland Roots. We'll get to them all. And Raphael Spiegel. We will have a, not full crow, but we will have a nice Swedish delight. Nice little chocolate section. Talk about our favorite Swede, Mr. Raphael Spiegel. But if you can throw out basically the XG analytical stats. This is one of those weird anomaly games where, like, yeah, you'll look like, oh, the Roots only had 7 total shots, 4 shots on target, only 1 big chance, which they did miss. We'll talk about it, Peter Wilson. The stats in this game do not matter because in the 39th minute, so Julian Bravo, your left back, is already out. And what they did is they had, let me see if I can bring it up for you guys here. They had Di Vicente on the right-hand side. Let's go back. So they had Di Vicente on the right side, Bravo on the left, Garcia and Edwards in the middle. When Bravo has to come out, Hackshaw cannot play the left-hand side, or shouldn't. So they moved Edwards, which he has been doing the last few games. Edwards moves over to right back. Di Vicente moves over to left back. And then the second problem happens. David Garcia comes out with, he looked like he had been run into one of the barriers play. It looked like it happened twice. And we were told by Ryan Martin after the game, he came out in the 39th minute, is that the doctors were looking at his knee, which is absolutely what you do not want to hear, because if he has to miss multiple months, maybe with an ACL strain or maybe a hamstring injury, or there's so many things that the knee, that's not just a straight ACL tear, a whole bunch of things. It did look like he was able to move on his own, but I would fully expect to be without David Garcia for a little while, which sucks because him and Michael Edwards, you could argue, were a top 2 defensive unit center backs in the whole league. They were absolute perfect. The front of us, Nana, Ryan Martin, and the council, the cabal council of deciders, they hit home runs with these two. With a lot of the people they've brought in, with Garcia, and specifically with Garcia and with Edwards, are perfect if they can stay healthy. And that's been the theme of this season so far. Injuries, backline injuries. Currently. And some of these guys will be back soon, but we have Tiggy, hyped free agent, came over from Loudoun, should be the starting right back. He hasn't made his debut yet. Fisher, we lost him early in the season. Hopefully, Ryan Martin said he should be back in about 2 weeks. We'll see what happens after a couple of games, because it's going to be a funky stretch. Tyler Gibson had to leave the game last week. He did not make the bench or start in this game. You have now David Garcia. You have Julian Bravo, both out, which hopefully won't be out for too long, but I would not expect either of them to be back in the next couple of weeks, at least. And then Hackshaw gets a red card in the 45th minute, just before, with what basically 1 minute before halftime. And this is where we need to talk about Hackshaw for a little bit. So I don't want to say I'm a Hackshaw defender, because I see what the people who like, when you see him play, you understand the people's opinions of he may have turned the corner of the downside of his career. He is one of the all-time USL defending greats. He's one of the wily veteran. He brings a lot of off-the-field leadership to this team. But there's been a couple times this season where he has cost this team points. The Oakland Roots are better than FC Tulsa. Let me make sure it's FC Tulsa. They are a better team than FC Tulsa. That should have been 3 points. The Roots are lucky that they were able to come out with 1 point, which puts them still in a great position early in the season. But the first 2 game joy of back-to-back wins to start the season, it's starting to go away a little bit. Though I know Backfield has them as 4th place in their power rankings, which is very generous. But like, this team could be that good if they're allowed to be with injuries. But Hackshaw gets sent off, which basically sends everyone on alert duty, like complete, absolute chaos for the rest of this game. And Hackshaw in his play, was it close? But we looked at up in the press box, a few of us, we had access to the ESPN replay, and it did appear that Hackshaw did clip him on the play. For anyone who hasn't seen it, a deep cross was sent in the direction of the striker for FC Tulsa and for Hackshaw. And a massive issue for Hackshaw was a younger player doesn't allow the ball to bounce. And because of his limited now athleticism and his age, he didn't meet the ball in the air or on the first touch. He let it bounce, and it allowed the defender to squeeze to run by him and complete the route and just complete the run. And you can't have that. A defender in the USL Championship cannot allow that ball to hit the ground. You cannot even allow the possibility. And this has happened multiple times where teams have targeted Hackshaw when he's come into the game. They know we can shoot it over the top, and he is not athletic enough right now with his age. And yes, I am armchair quarterbacking. He is way more athletic than me. I know. But in that circumstance, you have to be better. And I think as though you know that he knows better. And I think that he thought that he had gotten all ball, or he didn't want to have a breakaway opportunity against Spiegel, which would have tied the game. Technically, in that moment, not that he was right, but they did not score from him getting a red card. They did get it eventually back in the second half, but Hackshaw's out. What do you do now? Your center back's out. Let's look at their bench. Let's look at the Oakland Roots bench. So, what players did actually, I can kind of go here. This is going to be a little better. So, If you are out, Garcia, you are out Hackshaw, you're out Bravo. Who do you have left who can play defense? And the answer to that is it's a little slim. What we have noticed so far is that Ryan Martin really trusts veterans. He has not given runway to young players, especially new players. And overall, this is a good reason that Tyler Gibson has kind of played a lot on the right wing / kind of a combo right wing back when he was in. He's more of a right winger than right back. Edwards slipped over. You know my piece about this. But what is Tyler Gibson? He's not the flashiest guy in the world, but he is smart. And in theory, he will do the correct play most times out of 10. Is there a couple times where someone is just going to burn the crap out of him because they're just that more athletic than him? Yes. But it appears that Ryan Martin is totally fine because the 9 out of other 10 times he'll make the correct play. I think if he could have 10 Tommy McCabe's, he would probably have 10 Tommy McCabe's on this lineup. And we understand, I get it, because Tommy McCabe's absolutely rocks. Best signing this season, hands down. Disgustingly worth whatever they are paying him. Back to the defense. So, we now have no center back. You have only Edwards, and you have a Di Vicente. And Di Vicente came into the season as a left back. Di Vicente in this game played left back, right back. He also played center back sometimes during the second half. What they eventually went to is they moved Di Vicente into the middle as a hybrid kind of right side with eventually Babosi. Tommy McCabe did start there at center back. They flipped him with Babosi, Bayaranga, and Bayaranga played on the right side. I would slash a little bit center back, and then they moved Wolfgang to the left-hand side. They were able to bring on Florian Below, and they were bring Faisal Batash, which Faisal did not get the start today. They went with Wilson, as you can see on the screen. Wilson, Trejo, Prentice, and Jacquelson. I really liked what I saw from Jacquelson. I love what I'm seeing from Wolfgang. Wilson and Trejo have to step it up as strikers currently on this roster. Can you name who has the second most amount of goals on this team? I'll give you a second. If you answered Julian Bravo and Mark Fisher, you would be correct with 1 goal. Between Wilson, Trejo, technically Jacquelson, and Florian Below, 0 goals so far this season, which has to change. This team is good enough. They're making up, and that's the thing I'm not too worried about, is they're making great opportunities. Peter Wilson by himself has 5 big chances, according to FOTMob, so far this season. And he had one in this game where he had basically the goalkeeper. It was a beautiful pass, I believe, from Tommy McCabe. That's why Tommy McCabe's been brought on. Hit Wilson in perfect stride between 2 defenders. It's him 1v1 with the goalkeeper. And in the past games, he has shot left, trying to go across the goalkeeper. And a whole bunch of people were like, shoot to the right, shoot to the right. And so he shot to the right, tried to go near post. And he hit the side netting. We talked with Ryan Martin, and he was like, hey, there's a chance that Peter Wilson could have maybe just like dribbled around the goalkeeper because the goalkeeper did come out really far. And you just tap it in for a free goal. I do not think that there is an issue with Peter Wilson. I don't think he's hurt. Trejo is more of a worry because he seems like a slight step behind right now, which is worrying. I would not be surprised if once Florian Below's like full kind of what's the correct word for full like fitness level is up, I would not be surprised to see him back into the starting lineup for the first time. Let me see if I can find exactly for who took the spots here. It was Jackson Keel in for Danny Trejo and Florian Below in for Bert Jacquelson. which may lead to Florian starting over Bertan more. Which I've liked him so much. Analytics and FotMob have not liked Jokison as much as the fans have, which I think is something I need to study more on film. But overall, the second half turned into a survivability. Let me see if I can pull up the stats just for the second half for you here. So, Oakland Roots, first half, looking good. And when I mean looking good, I mean they scored on their chances outside of the one with Mr. Peter Wilson. But second half, different story because it was just survival mode. Even though the Roots were up 1-0, it felt like, hey, we're not probably going to score here. Hold them and get a point as best as you can. And it's probably been too long. Raphael Spiegel had, I believe he had 7 saves, and he was legitimately good last on Saturday night. And that hurts me as someone who has been very critical, deservedly so, of a Raphael Spiegel. But Raphael Spiegel, he was a surprise in the starting lineup as he only had a 1-game red card suspension from his viral moment against Orange County SC. I talked to some people inside the Roots. Supposedly they didn't appeal it. It was always a 1-game suspension, even though outside of everyone else thought it was 2 games. That may have just been a mistake on some reporting or our end. If so, that's our bad. But Spiegel was back. He served his 1-game suspension. They got the 1 point against Tampa Bay Rowdies, and they get a point against FC Tulsa. And Spiegel was legitimately, he made some big saves. The defense, a lot of times, because they were down a man, put him in situations where he had to step up. He was being peppered. He had 5 shots on target in the second half, 15 shots in total. The ball was always in his half, and he was calm. He was collected. And legitimately, he has a strong candidate for man of the match for the Oakland Roots. And I would not be upset. I believe Roots Pod went with Raphael Spiegel, and that is, it's hard to argue with. Michael Edwards, I think, did so much more on that defensive line to keep it together, but Spiegel, legitimately, he's the starting goalkeeper of the Oakland Roots. Do I think they could do better? Yes. But as currently situated, I think he is the starting goalkeeper for the whole year. And that is a weird thing to hear from my face hole. But overall, the Oakland Roots continue to show a lot of positives where they're getting a lot of bad breaks, which I guess is very Oakland Rootian, because the Roots always seem to be last year's where they always get worldies against them, which some people have potentially correctly situated that maybe that was McIntosh is not good at taking shots from outside the box, and teams just said, shoot it. And that's kind of understandable, But overall, the Oakland Roots are potentially in a prime position. The problem is who starts against this is the worst possible time for the Oakland Roots to have massive injury concerns, because they play Las Vegas in a USL championship game as of this recording in less than 48 hours. This is Monday evening. They will play Las Vegas at home on Wednesday, and then they play Monterey Bay in the USL Cup down in Monterey Bay, which could be a game that Monterey Bay's coach may have to win to keep his job. We don't have any official things on that, but I know John Como from Roots Pod he's been pretty banging that drum of when is he going to get fired? When is he going to get fired? And overall, let's see some candidates. Let me see if I can bring up a roster for everyone real quick of what the Oakland Roots could do on the back line, because it's pretty slim pickings right now here, ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary pals. So, first thing, we have the people that we know should probably be there, unless for some reason they just go full 510, is Michael Edwards and Jesus De Vicente. I expect De Vicente to start on the left side, or at least one of the two sides. To be fair, probably right, depending on what they go with here. I may take that back in a second, but we'll see here. Michael Edwards as center back, lock it in, makes perfect sense. A candidate of, let's say, first off, let's say no one comes back. You have no Keegan Tingey, you have no Mark Fisher, you have no Tyler Gibson, you have no Julian Bravo, you have no David Garcia, you have no Nabil Haksha. Who starts if you keep their standard 4-4-2? I know that's a hybrid. They move it around on the fly at all times, but a starting 4-4-2. I'm assuming Michael Edwards as a center back. I'm assuming De Vicente on the left-hand side. And a player, let me see if they even have him on the roster. They don't. Is the candidate is of Maldonado. Maldonado has played some right back during the preseason for the Roots. He tried out at that spot. They brought him in. He is he's very similar to De Vicente, where there's not much defense. It's just offense and prey. And at right back, that may work for a game stop or maybe a 2-game. Something to keep in mind, which should come out hopefully in the next day or so, is I have been told, I know there's been conflicting information, but I currently believe, I've talked with people inside the Roots, decision makers, and you can have 2 25-day contracts for a single player. After that, you have to either sign him for the season or let him walk. My assumption is most players after one 25-day contract either get signed usually, or people know, hey, this was a tryout, you didn't make it. I think Maldonado is one of those rare cases where I don't think he is going to be here for the full season, because after Tingey, Fisher, and a whole bunch of other people come back, his playing time is basically zero. So I could see them signing him for another 25-day contract, maybe have him on the right side, have De Vicente on the left side. I could see them moving Tommy McCabe into the back line. This is more experimental. If you want to use Ali Almasnawi, I think I would not be surprised. We had heard some rumors that Keegan Tingey could be returning. I had rumors that he could have been returned as early as the Tulsa game. That did come out to be true. But if he's in that window of he may be ready to go, you could be intrigued to maybe run him out there as the second sub for Maldonado. If Maldonado completely falters, you can put Tingey in for the last 45 minutes against Las Vegas, because you know that Johnny Rodriguez playing as his former team back at home and the Coliseum, though he never played at the Coliseum for the Roots. Goal scorer, injured defensive line, you know he's going to want to go crazy on it. But if Tingey, let's go off the scenario of if some people could be back. We had reports from a couple people in the treehouse that Gibson wasn't walking with a limp. Same with Tingey and Fisher. We were told Fisher by Ryan Martin is about 2 weeks out, which is actually way earlier than I thought he would be back. But that's fantastic news if they can get him or back. I would not be shocked if Gibson is able to come back, if they just slot him into the right back slot. And then I could also see them bringing up Jonathan Pulio, who was a very hyped up young prospect in their system, who could finally get some time. But I want to stress, it appears, I don't have full confirmation on this. This is maybe something I'll ask after Wednesday's game. But Ryan Martin doesn't like, it appears he just the veteran, just consistency. Veterans are usually ones that bring that, though this week could be a necessity of just send it. Though Polio could be one of those cases of the cup game. They may just say, we're sending all of the 5-1-0 kids, all the bench players are going to play at the Monterey Bay game. We don't care if we win or lose. It's a cup game. You really want to win it, but the league game, this will determine the Vegas. If there's a whole bunch of subs against Vegas, it means they're going super hard against Monterey Bay. If there's not a lot of subs for Vegas, it means they're definitely not throwing the Monterey Bay game, because Monterey Bay is not very good, and you could probably still win that game, but at least not going as hard, because traditionally in last year's, keywords, different regime, last season they played a lot of the subs. They played backup goalkeepers when it comes to the cup games. I could see them doing the same thing, where Spiegel starts on Wednesday against Tulsa. You have McIntosh play against Monterey Bay. Other candidates, you could have Babosi go back to right back. He was playing a little bit of it the other day, or even center back, to be honest with you. He's athletic enough that it seemed like he did really well. You could give Ali Almasnawi his first start of the year, have him with Tommy McCabe. That's probably my least wanted, because like you do have the access of, you can play Wolfgang at left back. He is the one who's scoring all your goals. I'd rather you not, but he can, as he did against FC Tulsa, he did play left back, which it could be one of those situations where Wolfgang swaps into left back the later the game goes. But keep in mind, they played at least 111 minutes, 113 minutes in this game against FC Tulsa. Tommy McCabe, Babosi, I think Peter Wilson didn't. There, so many of these guys are heavy minutes. You can't play them all in both games. So I could see maybe one of those things where, depending on injury results, like especially if Tyler Gibson can't go, and Tingy can't go, you could play Babosi at center back, and it'd be weird, but I don't think it would be bad, especially against Las Vegas, who is a team that also cannot defend. Las Vegas is atrocious this season. They score a whole bunch of goals. They give up a whole bunch of goals. They are full-blown nitrous NASCAR. Whoa! And they just send it. Let me see if I can bring up the table here. Currently, Las Vegas has one win on the season. They beat Monterey Bay, the worst team potentially in the league. But they have given up. They are at a -2 goal differential. They have scored 9 goals, but they have surrendered 11. Let's look at their previous results. Some of these are very impressive results. They tied against Sacramento. Sacramento's still trying to figure out things, but you take a point against Sacramento every single day. El Paso is just the better version of Las Vegas. El Paso scores an absolute truckload of goals. They allow a truckload of goals. I think the Sacramento's XG, it was like 0.7, and they scored 3 goals against El Paso. That's how bad it is. But El Paso can score. God, they can rack up some goals. Then they beat Monterey Bay. And then the same team, FC Tulsa, scored 3 goals. And do we remember how bad Tulsa was? If you watch that game, they could not finish to save their life. A better team like Sacramento or an El Paso or even a San Antonio, I think, scores 3 goals against the Roots just because they were just so depleted. And that's nothing to say about the defense of Rafael Spiegel. They played their goddamn hearts out. But Tulsa didn't help themselves. And then the last game for Tulsa, they lost to the Colorado Springs Switchbacks 3-2. What is the common theme in a lot of these games? They're giving up a lot of goals. And they have only won one game this season. They are currently sitting in 11th place in the standings. This is a massive 3-point swing. You see here the Roots are at 9 points, currently sitting in 4th place in the Western Conference, tied with Phoenix and Sacramento. I think Sacramento plays Brooklyn tomorrow, which would probably be a win for Sacramento. And they play Pittsburgh. Not great. But this is one of those 3-point swings where you push Las Vegas into the cellar. You tell them you are not worthy of being a playoff team. Goodbye. Other problem is I could see this game being an absolute clown fiesta, and it's like 4-3. And Peter Wilson, that's my prediction. I think Peter Wilson will get a goal if he starts against Las Vegas. I fully expect Johnny Rodriguez to get a goal for Las Vegas. I do not expect it to be a clean sheet. I expect it to be complete chaos. The big thing to keep in mind is if you get 3 points, you're up to 12 and you're feeling good. But there's a whole bunch of middling results where in the last 4 games for the Roots, they've won. Good job, Roots. The last 4 games have been draw, loss, draw, draw. And are all of those the Roots' fault? No. Because the Phoenix Rising game was just unfortunate timing with the Heat in Phoenix. They kind of wore down. That's one of those games you're like, you would have really liked to see them get a win. The Rowdies game, you fought tooth and nail. You get that. Orange County could have been points, but Orange County is also the top team in the West and has only lost 1 game. And they're looking like a defensive juggernaut. I really like Orange County's defense. I do not like their attack, but their defense is but like a whole bunch of these teams in the middle are just kind of funky outside of El Paso, who just is a scoring freak machine. But let me see if there's anything else we want to talk about this week, because we will have another episode later this week because God, we got Tulsa dead Monterey Bay. It's a wild time. I'm very intrigued to see who they run out against Las Vegas. Let me also check the weather if that's going to be an issue. It's looking sunny and stunning. Okay. Bless the Bay Area. But in note, good job getting a point, Oakland Roots. We'll see what happens in the future. And as always, if you made it this far, make sure to comment any questions for the next episode. Or if you've made it this far and haven't subscribed, what you doing? Subscribe. 100 subscribers, thank you so much. On our way to 1,000, here we go. And watch out for some Cal football, maybe some NFL draft content coming out this week. So I'll see you guys all next week. Bye.